We have a special guest, Barry Kaplan, joining me in the studio. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you? I'll do my best to try to fill Darla's shoes.
All right, very good. Well, yeah, Darla just said she was not up to it tonight. Anyway, welcome to the show, guys. Hello. I know you can't see my eyes with the scrims here. Anyway, glad to have you here on the show. If you'd like to comment as the show progresses here, please feel to do so. If you'd like to just write me on the Facebook page, that would be great. Message me. We can check messages as the evening progresses. We've got a bunch of stuff to get to on the show. Here we go. Hello. Took a little while to get us going, but anyway, Barry, welcome. Now, you had been with doing Darla's show for a few months before she was let go from KMBZ.
I was on the Monday Morning J team with Darla.
Oh, nice.
From 7 to 8 a.m.
Nice.
And I got to tell you, it was the most fun hour of every single week. I loved doing that.
Well, I think listen, I've had some hardcore fans and people who enjoy the medium of talk radio. And occasionally out of the audience, you pluck somebody because you think they're special. I don't know why she chose you. I'm just kidding.
It's easier for me to talk than it is not to, and because I stalked her on the radio for about 10 years before, that was probably two of the reasons.
And you became part of the show, and she invited you to be part of the show. So I think it's cool to have you on. A lot of things to get to as the show progresses, and I'm going to try and play some audio. We have some issues with feedback and delay on the audio. So I'm going to do my very best to try to get past that if we can. You know what? This may sound unprofessional, but I'm going to go ahead and try and play a piece of audio real quick here, just see if we can test this thing. Get past that if we can. You know what? This may sound unprofessional. Okay, yeah, we got a delay. It just stinks. Hate it. If we were taping the show, it'd be a lot easier to play the audio. And unfortunately, my other computer is down. Normally, I play the audio off the other computer. So anyway, let's get into some stuff here. I want to talk a little bit about this Elizabeth Warren horse shit. And I can say that because we're not on the radio. This Elizabeth Warren horse shit last night, yesterday in the Senate, she started what she said was quoting Coretta Scott King about Jeff Sessions. It wasn't. She was quoting Ted Kennedy and said some very untoward things about Jeff Sessions, and Mitch McConnell basically said, sit down, because it was against the decorum of the Senate.
Correct.
It was against the decorum of the Senate. It was tasteless, tactless, uncouth, uncool, and she should not have been able to say it, even if she was quoting somebody else. But then she said last night, but they said the same thing about Jeff Sessions in 1986 in the Senate. He wasn't a senator then.
You know, they're calling him a racist and all the things that... This guy's got a great record of civil rights. He beat the hell out of the Ku Klux Klan in Alabama. And he fought to desegregate the schools in Alabama. Mm-hmm. And now that he's in a position, they're going to try to put him in a position of power. Now all of a sudden they got to shoot him down and try to destroy him.
It is a really, really shameful thing. Nobody on the Republican side of the political equation, I don't recall, ever said, you're a racist, you're a whatever. You work with somebody for 20 years, and then suddenly when they're at a position of authority that they're being approved for, then you call these names. It is sordid and sickening as far as I'm concerned with regard to what she said about him. And she should, and then she's claiming victim. I freaking hate this. She's claiming victim. She's always claimed victim.
Always.
She's claimed that she's a member of the Cherokee Nation and all this to get her way through school and everything. And now she's a little girl being picked on the playground. And it's a load of crap. It is a load of crap.
She has been a victim for as long as she's been a politician.
Yes.
As far as she's concerned, every single person that she deals with who's not a Republican, who's not a conservative, who's not a libertarian, is a victim to the libertarians and the Republicans and the conservatives. But people still buy it. They keep going for it.
I think it's, to me, it is absurd. To me, it is it's sickening. Let me see if I might be able to play the audio now. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. I'm going to try this. No, I can't play it.
By the way, she's all over Twitter.
She's all over Twitter.
It's all over Twitter about how she got shot down, but then a man was allowed to come in and say the same things, you know.
Yeah. She's going out. She's throwing up her hands. I had a bunch of my friends who are lefties on the web today talking about how unfair and how awful. Of course, none of them paid any attention to what was going on, Keith. Okay? You weren't paying attention to what was going on. You weren't paying attention to what was said. Coretta Scott King, by the way, was at an opening where she credited Jeff Sessions in helping to create a Rosa Parks Museum and Library. All right, the guy is not a racist. It's horse shit, and I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. You're a Nazi. You're a racist. When you suddenly after a while it falls upon deaf ears. Literally the words. And I remember when I first got a radio. It's about 1990. Calls of racism. You're a racist. You're a racist. You're a racist. And I said, sooner or later, it's going to fall upon deaf ears. That has fallen upon deaf ears, and now they're moving to other things. Now they're moving to the full-out Nazi thing.
Well, and Milo's a Nazi.
Yeah, Milo Yiannopoulos
He's Jewish.
Is a Nazi.
He's gay.
Yeah.
He's an immigrant, and he prefers black boyfriends.
Yeah.
But he's a fascist, and he's a Nazi.
Well, the other day, and I mentioned this, the Berkeley protests, okay, or the Trump inauguration protest. What did they do? They broke the glass out of windows in storefronts. And in Berkeley, they asked people to order Milo Yiannopoulos' book to burn it. So they enjoy their nights of broken glass, and they enjoy their book burning. Who are the frickin' Nazis here?
They did more than that, though. In the interview that I told you about earlier, the CNN interview that the liberal friend of mine wanted me to see to prove that Milo was a racist and a fascist,
Yeah.
They interviewed the college Republicans on that campus, and the word amongst the liberal groups was that Milo was coming to speak tonight. Maybe we should bring weapons. The liberal groups were talking about bringing weapons to those, but we're the fascists.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of talk about liberals being ungovernable. Liberals saying that there is war. 90% of the pro-gun vote in the states in the country. I believe that 90% of the guns owned in this country are owned by red states, people who voted for Donald Trump.
Right.
So you want to start a frickin' war? Start a war, bitches.
Right.
Start a war.
Right.
Come on. You preach about no guns, you preach about whatever, and you throw rocks and urine bombs at the police. Do you really want to start this? I don't think you want to start this. And you've got idiots like Sarah Silverman saying that we need a military coup. Who do you suppose the military is going to be behind?
Right.
The leftist, fascist, socialists smashing out storefronts, or Donald Trump is going to rebuild the military? I wish you the best of the luck with that military coup. Maybe you can get the military of Venezuela to come here and fight your war. Well, it's a joke.
I've had liberal relatives and friends over the years give me a lot of shit about the whole gun debate and all that. And it's like I've told myself, you need to understand something. If the shit ever hits the fan, you know you're coming to my house.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. If you don't bring food or something of value, I'm not letting you in. Okay? Because it's not my responsibility to take care of people who disagreed with me for years and years and years. Now all of a sudden it actually happened, and you want me to help you out.
It's like those people with the the zombie apocalypse or Noah's Ark, for a more biblical approach to things. Those who made fun of you, those who poked fun of you,
right?
And you were prepared.
Right.
All I got to say is, if you want war, bring it. Just frickin' bring it, bitches. Move to California when they decide to finally secede from the union. Go to effing California. You'll be begging to come back in within a year.
If California actually was able to secede, people in Texas would stop talking about wanting to secede because they figure, you know what, we accomplished what we wanted anyway. We don't have to go anywhere now.
Yeah. I just think it is remarkable. Another thing that's really remarkable is this unhinged dingbat, Maxine Waters, from California, who wants Donald Trump impeached, even though he's done nothing impeachable. She just doesn't like the way his attitude. She doesn't like the way he speaks. She is unhinged, batshit crazy, and I got to tell you, the more she says this, the more she polarizes things. Right now, Donald Trump has a 51% approval rating. Right now, I believe his immigration. I should say extreme vetting has a 58% approval rating in the country. People like it. And the more that Democrats like her continue to caterwaul, call for his impeachment and whatnot, the more I think they further destroy the Democrat Party.
Did you say Maxine Waters or did you say Nancy Pelosi? I wasn't sure which one you were talking about because they're pretty much the same thing.
Same thing.
It
honestly, it's remarkable how unhinged they are. They don't realize how badly they've been beaten, and they are continuing this, caterwauling, throwing your hands up in the air, rioting, whatever, you'll notice that no Democrats have said, don't break things, don't burn things. We can do things legislatively. We can do this. You have a tacit endorsement of all of these things from the previous president to who's in Congress now, Democrats now.
I do something a lot of conservatives don't do is I spend a lot of time arguing with liberals on Facebook. And I got to tell you, not that it's all of them, but I barely found a single person, a single liberal, who actually didn't blame the riots and everything that happened on Milo. Hardly a single person said anything bad. They said it was because it's inflammatory talks. Notice what they're basically saying is they're incapable of controlling their emotions. And by the way, I read it was the day or 2 days later that nobody had been arrested. They're breaking windows, setting things on fire, beating people to a pulp.
Yeah.
Law enforcement is there.
Yeah.
No arrests.
There was one arrest in Berkeley. There was
one arrest.
One arrest in Berkeley. And it was because somebody stood there and they said, you need to disperse. And they stood there and that was it. Nobody went in. And I'm going to tell you right now, and hello, Tyra, for watching. I appreciate it tonight. And please share with your friends. If you're breaking in the windows of a building, the police should be able to go in and crack your head. That's it.
Right.
I think we need some heads cracked. I think we need some rubber bullets fired. I think we need some pepper spray sprayed. I think we need some tie wraps on the wrists, and you go to frickin' jail for a very long time. Sick of this crap. Philadelphia, there was another one of these idiotic anti-Trump movements, and this guy got in front of a bus, stopped the bus, standing there thinking that just because he stood there, he had a bus. These police came down, they marched down, and they took that sucker down. And they arrested him, and they were screaming. Ah! No, you know what? That's what you get.
Right.
The other day I might have been in Portland. There was an ambulance stopped. Guy standing in front of the freaking ambulance. Somebody who's critically sick inside there.
Run him down.
They had to do an otherwise avoidable procedure in the ambulance to save the guy's life before he got to the hospital. You go to jail for a very, very long time.
Run him down. Every time I see scenes like that, one thought goes through my head. Every single time.
Run them over.
Water cannons.
Well,
water cannon them to death. They stand in the road, they block the traffic, run them over.
Well, I think the problem with water cannons is it brings back echoes of bygone era. I don't know if that'd be very supportive of our cause. However, there should be some reasonable use of force if somebody's going to force you. If somebody's going to stop somebody, somebody's going to stop a bus, somebody's going to stop an ambulance, somebody's going to padlock themselves to whatever, drag their asses off, pepper spray the hell out of them, and throw them in jail.
Freedom of speech stops when you start breaking the law.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech does not protect you from being offended, and freedom of speech does not give you the right to blow things up and set things. Oh, by the way, the limousine in Berkeley they set on fire.
Yeah,
it belonged to.
That was at the inauguration.
I think there was one in Berkeley though too.
Okay.
That got set on fire. It belonged to. It was either an immigrant or a Muslim, one of the two.
Well, there was a thing in and I heard it actually. There was a guy who somebody said he's a Nazi, and they beat the crap out of him. I believe that was the Syrian immigrant at Berkeley. The limo was burned in D.C.
Okay.
I don't know if the limo. I don't know who owned the limo. Regardless, though,
right.
We're dealing with anarchy. We're dealing with property destruction, and that's when you move from protest, First Amendment protected with the First Amendment, and move into something completely different. And I have no stomach for it. And I'll tell you, the left is exclusively right now. It is exclusively owned by the left. When you deal with like for instance, the Right for Life march that happened after the Women's March, which was a joke. And the inauguration protests, the Right to Life March left the place cleaner than it was before. Nobody was
like the crazy Tea Partiers.
Yeah, and the same with the Tea Party. I was in D.C. I went down for those protests, and I'm going to tell you, there was no violence, there was no breaking windows, there was none of that crap, because these were genuine people. They weren't hired by someone else. They weren't hired by George Soros. There weren't 50 groups. Leftist groups involved with this whole thing, and that's the way it rolls generally. And I really think that we are going to get a belly full of this, and we're going to say, F it, we're done. And that includes a lot of people on the left, or at least I should say Democrats, because there are Democrats out there I don't know where they are exactly, but there are some still who have a modicum of common sense and who have no, they will not stand for this violence.
They're great, and the problem also is they're greatly outnumbered.
Yeah, well,
because as soon as, even if a Democrat disagrees with one of these people, they become the enemy too.
Yeah.
You know, I tell you, and people think I'm a little bit crazy when I say this. I actually welcome these crazy responses because every time things like this happen, more Republican voters are created.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they lost, what was it, 1,000 and some odd seats in 8 years?
Yeah.
By 2018, hopefully that 1,000 will go to more like 1,200.
Well, if they reinvest in these tactics and they reinvest in this stuff, and Elizabeth Warren continues to be a victim, and Nancy Pelosi continues this stuff, it is not going to resonate. Nobody has any pity for them. And you've got a president, maybe he's unpopular, whatever. A lot of this anti-Trump sentiment is astroturf bullshit, created by Soros and other organizations, even the Clinton campaign and whatnot. So I think the American people, by and large, when you look at the immigration ban, for instance, as I said, 58% support. They may not completely agree with Donald Trump. They may not love Donald Trump, but they like the policy. And that's why I think that they're gonna do a face plant on this.
The question I've asked these people over and over again, I said, listen, the country's almost $20 trillion in debt now. You know, what's wrong with having something different? I am not a fan of the way Trump says things either. It drives me crazy. But the fact of the matter is he's getting things done, and at least somebody's finally actually standing up there and saying, these are problems. You can't fix a problem until you're willing to address the problem. It's no different than when he, over and over, Islamic extremism.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah. If you're not willing to say it, how are you possibly going to fix it?
By the way, I want to say hi to Brian, who's watching right now, Wanda as well. Hello, guys. How are you? Thank you for watching. Again, I want to mention something. Darla was going to join us tonight. She's feeling a little bit under the weather tonight. So I greatly appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Barry's hanging out with me tonight. Used to be on with Darla on Mondays. What do they call it again?
The J team.
The J team. The J team. And then, of course, now were you right up there when she was let go?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I was depressed.
Well, and she's a really good person.
Right.
And as most radio companies, a lot of radio companies, they treat people like crap.
I think what you do and what Darla is doing and everybody who's in this industry, to me, this would be the best job on the face of the earth.
It is.
To be able to talk all day long about political stuff.
It is.
And have everybody listen to what you've got to say.
The problem
I couldn't ask for a better deal.
And listen, that's the way I felt at the radio station that I was at. And budgetary things come up, and you are the thing you can cut. Right. So it is a blessing. But I'm going to tell you something also, Barry, that what I'm doing now as I attempt to build this and make it bigger, and I've got a long way to go because I'm just now getting it going. I've got two cameras. Nobody else has this in podcasting unless they have it's kind of a big deal. This is a small setup, and I did it myself. So we have two cameras broadcast quality audio. I'm also broadcasting at stations around the country. This is a liberating thing. What I hope to do is monetize this. I like terrestrial radio. Don't get me wrong. Terrestrial radio is wonderful. And when you're at a station that supports you and you get out and you meet people and you could do some good, you could do some charitable things like that, it's really awesome. But unfortunately, sometimes things don't work out. So I hope to make a go of this. I would love to have another terrestrial radio gig with this. We'll see what happens.
Hey, listen.
We'll see what happens.
When you own your own business, you can never get fired.
I know. You can just go out of business. That's the only thing. Anyway, a few other things here, and I wish I had the ability to do audio. Unfortunately, my other computer is not working, darn it. But we have some great stories that I think you'll enjoy. Not just all political, by the way. Not just all political. Helen is on. Hello. Elizabeth Warren needs to disappear. You're right. She needs to. What a wretched, awful, nasty, tight-lipped school marm. What an unlikable person. I can't stand to hear her.
She's got a lot of money, by the way. She's not poor by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and you know what? She did house flipping.
Right.
That was one of her big deals. She did house flipping. She talks about how poor people can't get houses. She's into that. She's an awful person. Right. Bernie Sanders is an awful person. And Elizabeth Warren, if that's the future of the Democrat Party, I say bring it, because honestly, insufferable, wretched woman. Just an insufferable woman.
Well, it's gotten to the point more and more. I mean, what the Democrat Party has turned into, especially now with all the violence and all these outbursts and all that. The fact of the matter is that the Democrat politicians have become everything the Democrats are supposed to hate about Republicans. Mm-hmm. But because it's Democrats doing it, they excuse it away.
Well, like I said, continue to do this. Be obstructionist. Be douchebags. You may think because there are some hired groups having protests in cities around the country that you have popular support. You do not have popular support. You do not. Donald Trump rolled over the country as far as electoral votes are concerned. This was an anti-establishment election. It was people sick and tired of being told how to live their lives by people who spend their entire lives doing it. That's what it was all about. So you Republicans, by the way, was another story today. There was some closed-door meetings in D.C., Republican establishment types saying that if we're going to roll back the EPA, we're going to have businesses accept a carbon tax. F you. To every Republican who goes down that road, your ass needs to be handed to you and you need to be sent home with your hat in your hands. No excuse for this. There's still some of that going on. Barry, there's still some of that going on. This backroom bullshit, this inside baseball stuff that goes on between Dems, liberal establishment Dems, and establishment Republicans that the American people said, no.
Oh, by the way, to get that back under control, all Trump has to do is tweet about it. If Trump tweets about it, what those guys did, the country's going to. By the way, something you just I got to mention.
Yeah.
You talk about them not being the majority and they're not they're the crazy ones, aren't the popular ones.
Yeah.
I saw something this morning and I wish I would have read the whole thing. It was a protest that I think it was either in Lawrence or Wichita.
KU. It was KU.
Okay. Yeah, how many people showed up?
This is the anti-concealed carry on campus.
That's what it was. How many people showed up?
I think I heard 15.
It was 15 people. I'm telling you.
Again, this is all AstroTurf BS that has no popular support behind it. That's just the way it is.
As you know, I'm originally from New York, where to be, when you're a Brooklyn Jew in New York, more than likely you're a liberal Democrat. Where out here, I'm a right-wing conservative.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I get it from my family all the time. Barry, what are you doing out in Kansas? This is one of the reasons, because an anti-concealed carry protest had 15 people.
Yes. Well, to me, it was very odd moving here to Overland Park, Kansas, where I live, because I lived in Montgomery County, Maryland. When Barack Obama was elected the first time, there was that iconic picture of him that said hope, and it was that paint, that kind of whatever. Anyway, you saw it. I put on my Hummer H2 that said nope. My car was vandalized at work. I had a guy on a highway in the Shenandoah in the River Valley, the Shenandoah River Valley, tractor trailer right up on me and physically threatened me and my family because I had those. I mean, he was screaming at me. When I came here, it was so weird. I had a Trump sign in my front yard and it stayed there. And I'm not a big supporter of Donald Trump. I wasn't a big supporter of Donald Trump. I like Ted Cruz. I like Marco Rubio, blah, blah, blah. But it was odd that I didn't, my car wasn't going to be vandalized. Now, if you go into a conservative neighborhood here, for instance, this is a relatively conservative neighborhood. There were all sorts of Hillary signs and whatever. Nobody went and stole the signs. Nobody destroyed anybody's car. But that's what happens. That's what happens when it comes from the left. Brian is on the line. Hello, Brian. Welcome. Thank you. Hey, brothers. What's up, he says. Chris is watching as well. Thank you very much, Chris. Do appreciate it. Share with others. Barry Kaplan joining me tonight. He did some time with Darla. Darla was not able to be on the radio tonight. She just was feeling a little under the weather. So Barry's nice enough to hang out with me, and I've gotten to know Barry just over the last year or so. It's cool to know. You had a hell of a Super Bowl party, and you make the sickest. All right, now I made the mistake of calling it a marinara,
and you called it gravy.
Yes, and I called it gravy.
You don't call sauce gravy.
I don't know what you call it.
Only New Jersey people call it gravy.
All right, well, they call it gravy there. They also call it gravy in Maryland. So it's just sauce.
Well, and just by the way, Darla, just so you know, I did, in fact, put some aside for you.
Yes.
And I had in a package and everything to bring to you tonight.
Yeah.
But because you didn't show up.
It's in my fridge.
We ate it. Well, I ate something. Right, I brought all the rest over. Yeah.
It's fun because
we'll make you some next time.
You like to cook. Now, let me ask you this. This is off the topic here, Barry. So you grew up in New York. You're a New York Jewish guy.
You're a Jew.
I made ham salad. Is that bad?
Not to me.
Okay. Because I made a terrific ham salad.
Oh, my God, I'm offended.
Okay, it's not.
I forgot
kosher.
to be offended
It's
that I
not-
ate
It's
ham.
not kosher. It's not kosher.
Oh, for God's sake!
But you're
I'm not gonna go to heaven now.
so you learned how to make the sauce from your mother, I'm assuming, or what?
I grew up in a relatively typical Brooklyn Jewish home, which is I got two brother-in-laws named Anthony, and so it's very common for Jews and for Jewish women, pretty much, and Italian men to get married in New York City. And I mean, I can tell you in my own family's example, the Jewish women need to be told to shut the hell up, and the husband's got no problem telling them. And all day long, the kids just go back and forth between the parents like this. Right? So I grew up with Aunt Katie and Aunt Mary and Aunt Josie and Aunt Teresa.
Nice.
And this was an every Sunday thing.
Yeah.
They'd come over and they'd start at 8 o'clock in the morning in the kitchen.
Oh.
And heaven help your soul if you walk in the kitchen before they let you go in, and don't go near the pot. I'll tell you. There was one time I was eating and I found some type of weird piece of meat and I picked it up and I said, Aunt Teresa, I said, what is this? And she said, that's your brother's finger. I told him to stay away from the pot. Okay. And we'd gorge, and then the whole family, all the big Italians were all like this, and they fall asleep like this in the chair. They haven't left the table.
What did the family drink? Did they do Chianti? What?
I was a kid then, so I don't know what. They were drinking.
Right.
Probably wine.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I know I'm a Southern Iowa guy, and my mom is very influenced by Southern cooking, but the upbringing is similar to some degree. My mom, it was starting cooking early in the morning, a variety of different cooking techniques, and stay the F out of the kitchen.
Right.
It's her
We'll break your
freaking
leg.
It's her freaking kitchen.
And the thing is, when I came here, and listen, and just to be clear, I've been here since 1982 when I was in the Marine Corps.
Gotcha,
And when I got in 85, I chose to stay here versus going back to New York. Right.
Gotcha.
So I don't want you to think I'm just like destroying. Can't see what I say, but I'm telling you, come from somebody from New York City. There's no good Italian food in a restaurant in Kansas City. There's just not. Yeah. I've tried. I've been let down. And finally, I put the call back to New York. How do you make the sauce? Right. And I started making it myself.
You need to.
You
need to. So you do the green pepper, you do the onion, you do the tomatoes.
They had green peppers. It had onion. It had zucchini, and it had.
Lots of garlic.
And I didn't put all that much garlic.
Oregano basil.
Did the seasoning thing and the crushed tomatoes.
God bless.
Got to do the crushed tomatoes, and I got regular Italian sausages because I don't know who likes the spicy, who likes the regular, and did the regular meatballs. And it sits in and here's the big difference between what I'm doing and what like a restaurant in Kansas City is doing. It's sitting there for 4 hours cooking before anything is done to it. And then you start making little changes, little adaptations to it to make the final product. And the thing is, in the restaurants here in town, it's cooking for maybe 2 hours, maybe, and that's it. The 6 hours is what you had.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if I would have had time, I actually would have cooked it the day before, put it in the refrigerator overnight, reheat the next day.
Then it melts.
It melts. And then it would have been even better.
It melts. That's cool. What about Jewish food? And Jewish food is kind of weird. Well, Jewish and Catholics, we're similar. We're weird about food.
Right.
Catholics on Friday, you can't eat fish. We got Lent. You got all sorts of funky, weird shit.
Right.
With Passover and whatnot. You eat weird stuff. Matzo ball soup is great, but there's some weird stuff too.
Like gefilte fish?
Gefilte fish?
Gefilte fish. I happen to think gefilte fish is really good.
Yeah.
But it's carp.
Carp.
It's carp.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the thing.
Move those letters around.
Let's go ahead.
It's crap.
This hypocrisy just hit me. This actually just hit me. Okay.
Yes.
So if you're kosher, which I've never been kosher a day in my life, you stay away from pork and you stay away from shellfish because they're bottom feeders.
Whatever.
What the hell's a carp?
Dear God,
It's a bottom feeder!
The worst thing ever. They taste like mud. I grew up outside of Omaha. When you catch a carp, you have to put it in a tank of clean water and let it swim for a week to clean it out. Because it's awful shit. Right. It's terrible stuff. Carp. We used to go to carp fries. You got to deep fry the hell out of it. Catfish fry is good. Carp, I haven't had carp. There's a place in Omaha called Joe Tess's, and they're known for their fried carp. They're the only
I've never
place.
had. The only way I've ever eaten carp has been gefilte fish.
The only place. I didn't know gefilte fish was made out of
It's carp. They call it and white fish.
Carp.
Yeah, it's
Dear
called carp.
God in heaven.
Now, the one thing I do miss about New York as far as the Jewish food in Kansas City is the bagels.
Oh, God bless them.
I'm not going to mention any names here, but none of them are bagels.
Yeah.
If it says something bagels, it's not bagels. And when I go back to New York, like I go back once in a while on business, I always come back with like 2 dozen, and they go in the freezer.
God bless it.
A million years ago when I got married, which was 15 years before I got divorced, my sister, when she came for the wedding, which the only way I get my family out of here was for the wedding, I told my sisters, if you don't do those and bagels, get back on the plane. I'm not going to drive you home.
All right, so
there's a big difference.
And also, by the way, New York pizza. All right. I listen, I love pizza. I freaking love pizza. And I love Chicago pizza. And you call it a casserole, I don't give a shit. I love it. Shut up. But I will tell you, when I moved to the East Coast, I did get a real appreciation for New York pizza, coal-fire pizza. It's brilliant, folded in half.
Folded in half. And when you tilt it,
dear God,
the oil drips off.
Oh.
Now, can I give a public service announcement on the pizza?
Yes.
It's like an endorsement. Here's an endorsement coming on the way. The closest thing I found to that in Kansas City, and it's pretty close.
What?
The Bronx.
Oh, the Bronx. I have not been to the Bronx yet.
Fold it and tilt it, and oil will in fact drip.
Now, I know Jasper Mirabli, all right, Jasper's restaurant. I'm going to tell you, they do a pretty damn good pizza there. They do a pretty damn good pizza, but I need to go to the Bronx. There's another place locally for Chicago, and I'm drawing.
It's right down the street. I told you
right down the street. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's heavy. You get the one that's the full one. It weighs like 15 pounds.
Yes, that's what you need.
Right.
I make what I've discovered since I lived in Springfield, Illinois for a while, and their Chicago deep dish pizza. There are a couple people who really get it there, and it is the authentic Chicago deep dish pizza with the crust that is a slightly, almost a pie / pizza crust. And the cheese on the bottom and tomatoes on all the top. And it was really good there. Chicago deep dish is authentic. There are several places you get there. But the best place to find Chicago pizza since I left the Midwest has been my house. Because I know how to make it.
Right.
Because I know how to make it.
Like I've said, I'm a Jew. I make a better pot of sauce than an Italian restaurant in Kansas City.
Yeah, you do.
I'll tell you one thing also that I really miss about New York.
What?
Is a dish that I actually finally found here for the first time since 1982.
What?
If you're in New York, it's called calamari.
Calamari.
Here, it's calamari.
I
want calamari over pasta. And I found a place off of close to Metcalf and
now. So this is not deep fried. It's part of the sauce.
No, this is in the sauce.
It's like
I don't want fried calamari rings.
If you make a cioppino, which is a seafood stew with tomato sauce,
right, and it's got calamari.
I like that. No, I'm with you.
Not calamari.
Do you ever throw any the squid rings in that too? You ought to do that too.
Yeah, it comes with both.
Just the tentacles,
the legs, and the ring.
It's weird.
The rings are the body chopped up.
I know it's weird, and I never.
I love it,
but I never liked that beppo. I went to Buca di Beppo. I started celebrating my birthday at Buca di Beppo every year, starting at age 30. The original Joe's Basement in Minneapolis, which is Buca di Beppo was Joe's Basement, and that was where I had my 30th birthday. And literally for 15 years I had my birthday there. Buca di Beppo, they've changed their menu. It's still, I think, terrific.
There's a restaurant on Long Island that I've gone to every time I've gone to New York. I go to this one restaurant on Long Island, and now all of a sudden, because I said it, all of a sudden I can't think of the name. My brother's going to kill me.
I met a guy the other day at a hen house from Long Island. How you doing there, buddy? He was just up here at the hen house market, and I said, how did you end up here?
How can I forget? King Umberto's on Hempstead Parkway.
Oh, okay, hold on. I got to look this up.
We used to go there. What happened was my father, as you know, was a photographer for the New York Racing Association. My father who shot the picture of Secretariat coming down the rail, winning by 31 lengths, winning the Belmont Stakes. The one that Barry Kaplan took that picture. Okay. Well, whenever we'd go to New York after my brother and I left for the service, we'd go back to New York, and my father lived there.
Yeah.
King Umberto. There it is. Right there, right? And what happens is we would also always go there for dinner. And no matter how busy that place is, we always got a table right away.
Yeah. Because
the guy who was the maitre d' was a fighter jet fanatic, and my brother was a photographer in the Air Force. Nice. So we'd bring him pictures of fighter jets, he'd bring him pictures of the space shuttle, and boom, we sit down right away.
Yeah, nice.
And then I went like 25 years without going, and I went back there a few years ago, and that same maitre d' had just left a few months before.
Oh my goodness!
He would have remembered us.
I'll tell you. You know what? There was something about being known at a place, at least even one place, where you walk in and they go, "Hey, how are you?"
Right.
It's a great thing. All right, let's move on to some other stuff. We've been talking about food. We've got some other things as well. Brian, thank you for watching. By the way, do appreciate it and share with others. Rob, always good to see you, my friend. always good to see you. Rob is a huge commenter on what I do. If you get a chance to, guys, I have a Patreon page, patreon.com, and you can pledge $1 or $5 or $10 a month to what I'm doing, and it allows me to pay the bills and whatnot. I've also, I'm on a website called Libsyn, and it's Libsyn, nothing to do with being liberal. All right. It's nothing,
I wasn't saying.
No. It's a very big, one of the original podcasting pages, and you can download my show there. So if you're going to go work out, you're going to hang out in your car, you're going to do whatever, you can download my show. And I try to keep them to about 30 minutes so they're manageable. Because then I don't expect you to listen to me for an hour every day. You know, half an hour, I think you're doing perfectly fine.
I listened to you for an hour before I came over here today.
Oh, nice.
The last podcast.
Oh, really? Yeah. I thought it was okay.
You did great.
I had 38 minutes yesterday. It was pretty good. I try not to make it all politics, and I did 2 podcasts yesterday, one non-political, one political. And it was interesting. So the football game this week in the Super Bowl, what'd you think? That was, dude, when I came to your house, I was thinking, big yawn, we'll just be eating food. We'll just be eating buffalo chicken dip and your sauce and all that. And it ended up being the best effing Super Bowl ever.
Well, when they were, was it 21-0?
20.
And I can't remember if you or somebody else that was in the house that said this game is done.
It was 21, wasn't it 21-3, 24-3?
I think it was 21-0, then it went to 21-3 maybe.
Yeah.
It was something, anyway, it was huge. Actually, I think it actually went to 28-3.
Yes.
And the example that I gave was a few years ago when we played them, and with like a minute left in the third quarter, we were up by 28 points and lost the freaking game.
I know.
They never stop. They never quit.
It was, I have a renewed respect for the Patriots, and I never was a hater. I was never a hater with Tom Brady. I always thought that Tom Brady, the reason why people don't like Tom Brady is he's ungodly good looking. He's got a cleft chin. He's got a supermodel wife, and the whole white privilege bullshit that's going on out there. There's a lot of that going on there, and they hate him because he's a white guy. I'm not saying this is all about race, but Tom Brady is hated for a lot of reasons because he's better than you, he's smarter than you, and he makes a hell of a lot of money. That's the problem. Some people can deal with it. Some people can't deal with it.
He's a 39-year-old quarterback now, too.
Yeah, and by the way, Giselle wants him to quit, and he won't do it. And I guess, at what point do you go, okay, I'm 39 years old. I just had the best season and the best comeback in Super Bowl history. Do I quit while I'm out on top, or is there another year left in me?
There's no question.
I don't know, dude.
There's no question that there's years left in him.
Oh,
I mean, you look at the way.
Unbelievable.
Look how he played in the last 10 or 15 minutes of that game. There's no question the guy's got. Now, the question is he going to do it for the money? He doesn't really need the money anymore. And what? If he stops being a quarterback, his career's not going to end. I mean, he'll be able to go into anything he wants to do.
Greg Klein, by the way, Greg Klein joined the conversation. Greg, great to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining the program tonight. Again, I want to mention that Barry Kaplan is joining me. Darla J was going to join me tonight. She just was under the weather. We'll get her back in here.
Darla couldn't make it, so I'm here.
We took the second stringer. No, you were planning on coming in anyway, so that's cool. But if you would, please keep Darla in your prayers and your thoughts, because she just left the Johnson County Sheriff's Department. I thought she was unfairly dismissed, and she's a great, great, great damn person. And no matter who gets her, it is a gift to have her as a part of your organization. I don't know Darla very well. I've gotten to know her. I wrote her when she was fired from KMBC as her competitor, and I reached out to her. And then in the last couple of months, I've gotten to know her. She is a salt of the earth, good person, and whoever hires this woman as a communications director or PR director, they will have a gift, because she freaking kicks ass.
I just originally was an all the time caller into her show.
Yeah.
And then she did a remote.
You're a stalker.
At
Come
Coaches
on, man.
in South Kansas City.
You're a stalker.
And actually, that's what she calls me. But I guess I mean, at least I picked a good target.
Yeah, you're a sane stalker. But
right.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I called all the time, and I was always calling the show. I hit on her one time on the show, which was on the air, which was absolutely freaking hilarious. I'm sure she remembers it.
Really?
But Dala, we love you. Dala. Because she calls me Barry.
Barry. Yes,
Barry. Because that's actually what my name is, because when you're a Jew in New York, your name is actually Barry.
Barry.
Not Barry.
Is that what it is?
Barry.
Barry.
Ba.
Why is the difference? What's the difference?
Ba.
So what is your
what? Beary is Barry, right?
Yeah.
Barry is Barry.
What is your legal name?
Barry.
It's not William or anything like that?
Barry.
Barry.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's Barry.
Barry.
Yeah. Darla, it's Barry.
All right. Let's talk about a couple other things. Patriots defensive lineman Devin McCourty became the second New England player to say he wouldn't be on the team's trip to the White House because he doesn't feel accepted there. Line of horse shit. Honestly, screw you.
Right.
He is following in the footsteps of teammate Martellus Bennett. 29-year-old athlete doesn't feel accepted to the White House and can't imagine he would attend because of Trump's prejudices. This is a bumper sticker line of shit that doesn't exist. Donald Trump is not a racist, but this is soaked through some people's heads. And he's saying that they're not going to. Now, these guys made headlines in September. They raised their fist at the end of the national anthem in order to start the conversation about social injustice. These are, by the way, two gentlemen who are millionaires. When they retire from the NFL, they're guaranteed a $300,000 pension for the rest of their lives. These are people who are trying to drag us back to 1968, even though they never experienced 1968, and it's an insult to those who truly suffered, like Martin Luther King Jr. in the year 2017. This kind of racism doesn't exist, and it's attempt to make a victim out of yourself, even though you've never been a freaking victim.
Well, you know the story about the black college from I think it was Alabama, the tornadoes.
Yeah.
And so they were invited to come. The marching band. They were invited to come march, and the school freaked out, and the parents freaked out, and they attacked the president of the university for letting them go, and they put up a GoFundMe page.
Yep.
And they were looking for $75,000.
What they get?
And what happened was it went on O'Reilly. It was about $51,000 when it hit O'Reilly.
Yeah.
By the next day, it was almost $300,000. I looked at it today. They're at $675,000. And let me ask you a question.
Nice.
The people who gave all that money to them, that wasn't MSNBC money. It wasn't CNN money. No. Okay? So I guess that was what? White racists that gave the black college the money?
Must have been that.
$675,000. It was $600,000 more than what they asked.
Yeah.
You know, we're a racist country.
Yeah, honestly. And
holding the black man down.
The problem is, and Barry, I've said this from the get-go. I'm a part of the Sesame Street generation. You are as well. Yep. I've never had you lived in a probably multi-racial background in New York. You didn't think about people's color.
No.
You know, you didn't give a shit if you were black, you were white, you were Jewish, you were whatever. Who the hell cares?
Still don't today.
And my son and me too. I grew up in all white Southwest Iowa. We had two black kids in the school. Nobody abused them. Nobody called them names. We never did. Why would we do that? And my son is a glorious young man. And he went to a school where it was 10% white people in D.C. And my daughter did too. Her best friend is black. My son, we used to call his birthday parties, his friends, we called them the United Nations. Because they were all black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian. And they'd always give each other shit. It would be like the Indian guy would be like, the black guy would say to the Indian kid, well, at least my dad doesn't work at a convenience store. And the Indian kid would say, well, at least my dad's still around. And then the kid would say to my son, well, at least I could play basketball, or at least I can dance. Right. And they just effing made fun of it.
Right.
They don't give a shit.
Right.
But we've got a group of people who want to drag us back to 1968, and these two punks from the Patriots, stay the hell home. You haven't suffered.
Nobody's going to miss the fact that they're not there.
You haven't suffered. You haven't suffered like that. You know what? I got to tell you, I'm this white privilege thing. I was left by my father when I was 7 years old. He disappeared out the frickin' door. I had a stepfather who was an abusive dickweed most of the time. I've been out of work, out of my career, 3.5 years out of 27 years. I have suffered greatly. My children have suffered greatly. God, you'd think I'd find something else to do for a living. But this white privilege shit, I mean, you go to Appalachia and you go to the coal mines, the coal country, and you go to southern Missouri and you see some of these slums out in the middle of nowhere. This whole thing, just saying that because somebody is white, they're privileged, because you get treated differently at a traffic stop in an inner city when the crime rate is 80% higher than the regular population,
right,
and you're going to blame that on white privilege? Give me a frickin' break. I'm just kind of done with it, to be quite honest. Let's move on to some other things. Did you hear about this kid in Los Angeles? Chino Hills High School. LaMelo Ball plays basketball. And his brother normally plays with him. But his brother was out. So he had to pick up the ball and help him out. So in the last 8 minutes, he scored 41 points. You know how many points he scored altogether? 92 points. This kid scored 92 points in a 146 to 123. Now, what a defensive battle that was, right? This kid scored 92 points. Didn't Wilt Chamberlain, didn't he score a 100-point ball game once?
I was never a basketball fan. I'm
think
Jewish and I'm too short.
Yeah,
and I can't jump.
Yeah, no, you play matzo ball, not basketball.
Yeah.
Anyway, the kid scored 92 points.
I'll outshoot you, though. That I can do.
Well,
this kind of shoot.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. All right. All right.
I always sucked at basketball. And plus, I was a wrestler in high school, and we were trained to hate basketball players.
I did wrestling, too. But, you know, the thing is, I was huge. I'm actually as big as I am now. When I was in 8th grade, I was 6'1", 245.
And in 8th grade?
In 8th grade, yeah. I was as big as most kids' dads.
In 8th grade, I was 5'2", and I wrestled 110.
When I was in 6th grade, I bought an entire tournament because they couldn't kind of find a kid big enough in Southwest Iowa to wrestle me. I was 175 pounds in 6th grade. And I wrestled unlimited in Iowa in 1983, 84. They wrestled a thing called unlimited, which is anything over to whatever. Right. Now, you want to hear something really ridiculous? My brother Dwight, who graduated from high school in 1976, his senior year in high school, he wrestled. He was 6'9" and weighed 350 pounds. And they would do his weigh-ins at the freaking lumber yard. I'm not shitting you, dude. They go down to the Missouri Valley Lumber Yard. My brother Dwight would go down to the Missouri Valley Lumber Yard, and they'd weigh him in down there. Now, he wasn't a great athlete. He was kind of soft. He didn't lift. But he was just gigantic. He was Andre the Giant. You know? So anyway, but I did that, and I wrestled for a while, and I was pretty good at it. Then after my freshman year, I lost about 75 pounds one summer. And then I was like, I'm 185 now. It's not the same.
I was 4-year varsity.
Were you really?
Did
you go to state?
No, because we didn't get a good coach until my last year of high school.
All right.
But the one thing we used to do with the basketball players every Saturday was just to break things up, because we were one end of the school doing wrestling practice, the other end of the school doing basketball practice.
Yeah.
Is we would play basketball against them. And of course, we weren't basketball players, so in basketball standpoint, they would beat the hell out of us.
Yeah.
But we would run the living shit out of them because we were in so much better shape.
Oh my God, dude! We used to, when I was in high school, our wrestling practices. We would go. We had a wrestling room with the padded mats up 6 feet in the air. We would do.
You sure that was a wrestling room with the padded walls?
Well, that was something different. That was something Kel and I had going at our house for a while.
All right.
Before we were eons ahead of 50 Shades of Grey. But they would crank the temperature in that room to 110. And I remember, I'll never forget, I think the first time I wrestled in there in a 2 or 3 hour practice, I lost 11 pounds. It was crazy. That's Iowa wrestling. Are you familiar with Iowa wrestling? It's crazy.
Dan Gable.
It's big time.
Boom.
So I did that.
Yeah. Remember when you were in the wrestling room and they had the ropes you used to go up to the ceiling?
Oh, dear God in heaven.
At the end of practice, we had 15 minutes to go up and down that rope 20 times.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Swear to God. And I used to be able to go all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. So up and down twice.
I couldn't do it.
With my feet never touching the rope.
That's insane.
Now I'd get about 6 feet.
Yeah.
And I'd fall.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some other things. This is kind of interesting. I wish I had the audio for it. Joe Maldonado was allowed to be a Cub Scout in Maplewood, Essex County. I believe this is in New York. 9-year-old kid, and he is a girl who is transgendered. So he's going to be allowed into the Pac-20 in Essex County. It's being hailed as some sort of a historic thing. And listen, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with this kid. This kid looks and acts like a boy. I didn't really have a problem because when you're at this age, your genitals are used for peeing. And that's it. That's it.
Wait, how old are they?
9 years old.
Okay, all right.
So your genitals are used for peeing. You're used for peeing, all right? But I will tell you that about 85% of kids who identify as the opposite gender when they are adolescents, when they're this age, change their minds when they're adults. It just doesn't happen. If mom and dad are willing to go full throttle into this and delay puberty with hormones and all this shit, no, not going to go there. Not going to go there. As far as this kid, the other kids in the pack, they're not looking in this kid's pants. They're seeing a boy, and the kid looks like a boy. Right. She looks like a boy, acts like a boy, whatever. So at this age, I don't have a problem with it. But I do have a problem if mom and dad are feeling like this is some sort of a liberating thing at this age. Because when I was 9 years old, I identified as a firefighter. When I was 9 years old, I identified as an astronaut. But if you go down this road, this is a dangerous road because you're not only going down a decision, you are also possibly affecting the psyche of your child and the physicality of your child as they develop from a point where they're not ready to make that decision. You know what I'm saying?
It's plain. I listen. I'm not a fan of literally any of that. Call me a hater. I guess I must be.
You're a bigot.
I'm a fascist.
You're a Nazi.
I'm a Nazi. Yeah.
I want to call a Jew a Nazi.
Barry the Jewish Nazi. The fact of the matter is, these people that go through these changes, and the ones who actually go all the way, who actually get the surgeries done and all that.
Yeah.
The suicide rate amongst the ones who've gone through the change are as high as the ones that never went through the change.
Yeah.
Which means it's a much deeper seated problem than I think I'm a boy or I think I'm a girl.
It is a well, listen, in the womb, all it takes is a little kick in the ass from a little added hormones to change you from a boy for a girl. So I understand there could be some confusion. There could be some of those. I mean, we have children who are born conjoined. We have children who have all sorts of stuff because of what happened in the womb. So maybe there's something to this, but at the same time, if you just decide you want to be a boy or you want to be, the opposite sex at 6 years old, it doesn't mean necessarily always that it's because of what happened in the womb. That there is something beyond that, and if you commit yourself to this hormonally, surgically, or whatever at this age, incredibly dangerous, incredible. And I mean, listen, I like to wear women's underwear occasionally. I mean, Kel wonders why mine are.
I thought you were joking when you told me that Sunday night.
She wonders why her stuff is a little stretched out.
A little.
The song is
a little.
I mean, it's.
I've seen both your backsides. There's a big difference there. Let me tell you. I mean, not that I was looking that hard, but I mean, it was kind of obvious.
I wouldn't blame you for looking at my wife's ass, but not me. Sarah's on there. Hello, Sarah from Kansas City. Sarah Pullman, glad to have you. Todd Barnhart, one of my college classmates from Northwest Missouri State. Good to have you on, my brother. Thank you for watching. We do appreciate it tonight. If you would, please, share with others. Again, hanging out with Barry Kaplan. And he used to hang out with Darla J. Darla J was supposed to be on the show tonight. She couldn't make it. She wasn't up for it. Here's something kind of interesting. A new study shows that tough love doesn't work. Being too firm with your child could make them rebel and perform badly at school. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now.
Somebody should have told my mother that.
Was your mom that bad? No kidding.
Orange Hot Wheel tracks.
Don't.
Oh, my God.
Right here.
We got more Hot Wheel tracks for our birthday. What are we going to do?
The orange with the purple connectors.
Oh, my God.
Get your ass.
They used to go through 3 blankets. 3 blankets. So what happens is,
hey, Avery,
we'd get more. And my brother and I are like, oh, my God, where are we going to hide them?
Dude, that was what it was for. It was for beating your ass.
Oh, my God. I told you to shut up. I told you to shut up. I told you to go to bed. I told you to go to bed. And you just know it's coming.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You should be coming down the hall, and you should be like snapping them.
This is freaking hilarious.
And you know what? I don't think I'm that maladjusted.
Well,
let me tell you. I mean, I did some rotten things when I was a kid. Okay?
I'm trying to get my daughter into a glass of wine to me.
I can very honestly say, bring the box. I can honestly say, I mean, I got my ass really beat a few times.
Shit. No,
but you know what? No. I personally think that I deserved every beating I ever got.
I can't do that. I can't do that, dude. Sorry. I can't.
But I mean, I got caught smoking at 5 years old. I lit it. My mother was asleep, and I took a cigarette, and I lit it on the stove. And this is in Brooklyn. We had somebody living above us. I knock on the door, and I answer the door with a cigarette in my mouth.
Oh, God.
And about an hour and a half later, when my mother found out, I heard the scream, right? And she held my hands like this in her hand and beat them with a strap.
No,
okay, so that was one thing.
No.
I set a bush on fire in the back of the house.
A burning bush?
Burning bush.
My God, it's a
and I got beat for that. I'm just trying to recreate history here, right? And the smoke goes billowing into the bedroom, woke her up, got my ass beat for that one. I stole a can of Red Devil paint and tried to open it with a spoon on the white laminate table in the kitchen.
Oh, no.
And the whole freaking thing went over onto the floor. And I went into my room. I sat on my bed and I waited for the scream. And when I heard the scream, I knew it was coming. Now, I had to get beat like that because, like, I was told to come home at 6. I came home at 6:15. I did it because, like, I caught smoking as a 5-year-old.
Well,
or stealing matches.
When I was a kid, I'm not into the corporal punishment thing. I think that corporal punishment should be reserved for 2 consenting adults in the privacy of their own bedroom. You've been a bad girl, Kel. Hey, Avery. I thought I saw her on there.
Bring the box.
Bring the box. Bring the box. Anyway, could you bring in the wine from the refrigerator, please? Thank you. Love you. And I had everything used on me when I was a kid. My mom had a horse crop. I guess she probably used it in the bedroom too. But anyway, she would bring it out and smack us with it. Leave welts on us. Sticks. We always liked the yardstick from the lumberyard because it was made out of balsa wood. It didn't hurt. You know, she'd smack that across your ass and you'd act like you were hurt. Yes. Thank you, my dear. Here, we got the good stuff.
It really is a white box.
This is, by the way, this is a very good month. Actually, week.
Very good week.
I think it might be a very good week. Here you go. I'll love you for you.
My sister's thing was using a spatula.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't like the spatulas of today where it's all one piece. It had the weld. And
really?
Time she hit my brother with it, and he was a little bit too big to get hit by and he put the forearm up, and it hit and broke, and he just looked at it like, okay, now what are you going to do?
I got to tell you.
She never used it anymore.
For me, I just saw some crap when I was a kid when it came to corporal punishment, and it was bullshit. I thought it was an overreaction. My father, I remember when I was a kid, and this is going to sound weird, but, my dad, when I heard my dad coming upstairs, I would push the chest of drawers in front of the frickin' the door, and he'd push his way into the room, and it was terrifying to me. And I used to spank my kid, Will, a little bit, give him a swat on the diaper. And I remember one time I was driving home, and he was being just a pain in the ass. And I said, Will, when I get home, I'm going to spank your butt. And he was 3 years old. And I drove a little bit further, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and he was weeping, sobbing from fear. And I said, no, I'm not going to frickin' do that. I'm not going to do it. So I'm not a corporal punishment fan. And if I think if you're too hard on your children, your daughter will end up in a Girls Gone Wild video in college. And your son will end up doing beer bongs and vomiting on himself and on all that stuff. I just don't think, I think that being too strict on your children is a pain in the ass. My daughter got the best damn report card I've ever imagined in her life. She, last year, when we moved here, a year and a half ago, was a failing student. She was not doing very well. She moved here. And through positive reinforcement with her, there were certainly some points where I said, you got to turn this around. She has A+, A-. She has 1 B. Everything else is here. Now, my son, when he was little, he was in 3rd grade, and we started kind of heading south. And listen, by the way, I was a D student in junior high. Don't let them know. But I took his video gaming system away, and I hit it. I hit it very well, and I said, if you don't turn this shit around, some needy kid is going to get the best video gaming system of his life. And he turned that stuff around in a half a semester.
My father never had to be the enforcer. My mother was more than happy to do it for him. I remember being like 5-ish, and my mother looking at me and going like this. And she had biceps. And all we had to do was
Are you sure she didn't identify as your mother?
All we had to do was hear her coming, and we just started crying, just knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, we did it again the next night, too. So I never said we were smart kids.
I'm not saying. I think we were better adjusted to it when we were kids. Hey, Tim, how you doing? Tim, nice to have you on. Maybe we were able to deal with it a little bit better and get past it. I don't have any. No, I won't say I don't have any psychological scars from it, because I do.
I do.
I've got a lot of it. Well, but see, mine came with emotional abuse too. So you can take a spanking, but you can't take it when your dad meets you at the door at home when you come home and he calls you a fat pig or he calls you whatever. So that combined with the occasional spanking, I could see where, I was being a dick and mom smacked my behind. So I understand that, but I had some other stuff going on. I have emotional baggage arriving on carousels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I mean the complete 100% ass beatings that I got from my mother were not. It wasn't like it was an everyday thing. I mean, I really had to mess up.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, I mean, my mother in reality was cool as hell about pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Until you pushed too hard too many times.
Well, my son is 17 years old. And this year I had something happen for the very first time. I witnessed him drunk. And I had always told him his entire life that your first beer that I share with you will be on your 21st birthday. He doesn't know that I got drunk when I was 15. He doesn't know that I got high when I was 15.
You waited that long?
Yes.
Well,
I started early, and I'll tell you why, because my big brother Dwight that I was talking to you about earlier, and David, they lived in the house. They were much older than me, but they lived in the house briefly in their 20s, and they sold pot. And so they had the best weed ever. And there were a couple times when I was 14, 15 years old, I got stoned. And the last time I got stoned, I was 15 years old, and I had the munchies, and I went downstairs and I ate a box of saltine and a jar of Jif peanut butter. And I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I didn't get high again until I was like 30 years old with my wife, because she was still a kid at every once in a while. I don't smoke pot now.
I tell you what,
but it was kind of
and
funny.
she's probably not going to remember this, but one thing I said on the air to Darla, way back when, that literally freaked her out, was that when I was like 5, 6 years old, my father used to drink Rob Roy's, which were
Rob
scotch
and
a little bit of sweet vermouth.
Yeah, the
on
Rob
the
Roy's. Yeah.
When I was 5 years old or so, my brother was 6 or 7. We used to make my father his Rob Roy's for him. He taught us how to make his Rob Roy that he had when he came home from work.
But you never drank it.
And when we had parties at the house, so we could look like little 5-year-old big shots, he would let us drink vermouth and water on the rocks.
Oh, shit.
And I told Darla that once on the air, and for a few seconds, she was speechless. and it was something to do with people who drink as kids and what happens to them as adults. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm fine.
Well, listen, we have French friends, and their son Matthew has been able to have a glass of wine at dinner since he was 5 years old. And Matthew doesn't drink; he doesn't care. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. But Will got drunk at New Year's party. We were at it was a Christmas party with friends, and they had wassail going. They had the wassail going, which is wine and booze and all that shit. And I knew there was something going on because he was very lovey to me. He was like, Dad, I love you.
Yeah.
I love you, Dad. Like,
oops.
Really, 17-year-old? Really? Suddenly, He ended up, the best thing that ever happened, he ended up puking purple all over the upstairs bathroom.
I did it on my bar mitzvah.
Did you?
Oh, my God. It was all over the place.
You were 13 then, right? Oh,
It was a bad night.
So
You're a man now, huh?
Yeah. You feel like a big shot, do you?
Yeah.
Well, Will, I told him, I said, he's like, oh, man. I said, well, there you go. Bravo. Enjoy. So New Year's, we have a party at our house here. And he had a bunch of his buddies over. And his friends have never drunk before. But I'll tell you what, they did a brilliant job of hiding the shit. I mean, I went down, and I had Avery going down. She was doing, a little reconnaissance for me. They hid that shit until about 12:30 when one of Will's friends was worshiping the porcelain god upstairs. And I said, you guys ain't going nowhere. You're staying right here tonight. Give me the keys. Give me the keys. And then I find out, the next day they actually turned over the book. I couldn't find it. I went, and they had like pineapple vodka and just the worst shit you can imagine. And then over here they had a bottle of Crown Royal. All of these bottles were mostly depleted. Kel dumped everything out. She kept the crown.
Well,
I don't know how these kids got the stuff. And listen, I was being a Nazi about it, I mean, for lack of a better term. I was going down checking, how you guys doing? How you guys doing? How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Didn't even know until 12:30 the kids up puking upstairs, and they just hit it. They just hit it.
When I was bar mitzvahed and we had the party afterwards,
Jeez.
I was drinking hits out of everybody's
no.
drinks. This one's got wine. This one's got scotch. This one's got vodka.
Dude.
And I was allowed to continue. And I was told that I danced for about 2 hours because we had a DJ thing and the whole thing. I actually have got an 8-track here. I actually have the 8-track of my bar mitzvah.
Oh, do you?
I swear to God. I haven't listened to it in 40 some odd years.
Yes.
But I was dancing by myself for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And when it came on that, I remember my father said it was time to go. I remember falling into him. And then I got him under one arm, another relative under the other arm,
And you're
straight to the bathroom. And then up and down in the parking lot, just blowing guts everywhere.
Well, you were 13. So you were, at that point, probably 100 pounds. Wet.
Maybe.
Oh,
And so what happens is I was told that I sang
Jesus
the
God,
Hebrew
Kevin.
songs better in the car going home than I did when I was actually up at the thing, right?
All right.
And the
all
next
right, all right.
morning, with God as my witness, everybody was in the bedroom waiting for me to wake up. I got up and ate breakfast like nothing ever happened.
Well, of course you did, dude.
And my father cussed at me for a long time.
I think, you know what, and it bothered me. It bothered me that Will did it. But at least, my mom said when I was a kid, when I was in high school, she said, if you're going to go out and get drunk, you call me and don't drive home and I'll come and get you. And I always, I liked that, but at the same time, when I became a parent, I said, no, my children aren't going to drink. Then I realized the wisdom of what my mom said. And I freaking hate it. I hate it. I hate it that my son, decided to drink a couple of times. It bothered me. But at the same time, this is kind of a rite of passage. And why am I being such a freaking prude with my children? I don't want I always thought, my kids don't need to know that I smoke pot. My kids don't need to know that I drink at 15 years old.
Now they do. I mean, if they're listening right now.
They're not listening.
I don't know if you admit it to them.
They've got much better. They've got much better things to do. All right, a couple more things before we wrap things up, Barry. Let's see. Nah.
Do I look like I'm having fun, by the way?
I think we're having fun. We're having fun. I'm enjoying the conversation tonight. We've covered a lot of things, and I think that the cool thing is that we've had a conversation like people have a conversation, meaning that you meander, you talk about the topical, you stray off into other stuff, and you reel it in, you bring it back. Sarah's on. Tim is on. Let's see who else is on. Thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. Best places in the country to live. U.S. News and World Report. They do their best places in the country to live. For a variety of reasons, a lot of this has to do with income, cost of housing, all that. Number 5 in the country is Fayetteville, Arkansas. Okay, Fayetteville is known, they're very close to the home of Walmart. Homes in Fayetteville cost $182,500, and hello, how are you? Hi, Kel.
She brought more wine.
Look, it's Kel.
Oh, she's just pouring her own wine.
My gorgeous
I thought
wife.
she was bringing wine. She's taking her wine. We just left enough in there. She's taking what's left.
I've got some more in the garage.
Okay.
Got some more in the garage.
It's the same color?
I mean, in the wine cellar. We are doing an epic podcast. Fayetteville, Kel's sister lived there for a while, and I thought it was a little uptight. Columbia, Missouri is a much better college town. There are other college towns. I thought Fayetteville was really uptight, anal, and very Bible banging. I didn't like it. I really did not like Fayetteville. Washington, D.C. is number 4.
Really?
An average salary of 66 G's.
Well, yeah, their average salary is high. Right.
Huh?
Their average salary is high.
Yeah, but the average house is $372.
Yeah.
Rent starting at $1,500. We lived there. We had a $500,000 house that was half the size of this house. It's a wonderful place to live. It's near mountains. It's near ocean, but it is ungodly effing expensive. Not as bad as San Francisco. Number 3 is San Jose, California. $78,000 the average salary. Rent about $1,700. Home price $830. How do you get by on 78 G's and have a house that's 830?
They have a house as big as this room.
Swear to God. Denver's number 2. I think it moved up because pot's legal there now.
Schools make a lot of money now because of the pot.
Dude, majorly.
Schools are flush with cash.
Average salary, 54 G's. Average price of a house, $314. I've heard Denver's cool as hell. I've spent a lot of time there. Number 1 place in the country to live is Austin, Texas. They say that average salary, $49,560, 1.9 million people, $262 on the house. I've heard, I kind of want to move to Waco just because I watched a stupid show, which is called Fixer Upper. You ever watch that show? Chip and Joanna Gaines, Fixer Upper? You don't.
No.
You don't.
No.
All right.
I've watched shows like that. I don't know if that could be the one that I watch. Where's Johnson County? Where's Overland Park on that list?
It ain't on there.
It used to be in the top 10.
OP used to be there. Well, this is U.S. News and World Report. It's not money. Okay. It's whatever. It's, whatever. You take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth. I think that's about going to do it for tonight. I think we've covered enough stuff, right?
Yeah.
We done talking food?
I really thought you were going to say Overland Park was on that list.
I thought OP would be
I've been getting it for years. You've heard me say it before. I've said it for a million times. I might as well say it a million to one.
Yeah.
Every time I go back to New York, where everything is so expensive, it's insane. Okay? Yeah. Barry, what are you doing in Kansas? I'm doing 3 times as much to you for a third of the price. That's what I'm doing in Kansas. This is one of the top places in the country to live. Well, Johnson County is one of the top places in the country.
One of the things that I've said, and got a lot of people watching tonight. Thank you so much for watching. When I moved back to Kansas, and don't consider me a snob because I'm an Iowa guy. I'm from Iowa. Kel's from Ozark, Missouri.
She's really not a snob.
No, she's not. She's a total hick from hell. Meth addicted. No. But anyway, the thing is, her dad's a judge, so no.
She got away with it then.
She did. I was worried about having Kansas as a return address on my mail. I just didn't like, I'm going to live in Kansas. Kansas. Come on, man. You're from New York.
I've been here since 1982.
But originally you're like, I'm going to live in Kansas.
Oh, when I first came out here,
Kansas.
I thought I drove straight to hell.
I know.
Now, I didn't start off in Overland Park, though. When I first came out here, I literally thought I moved to hell.
Did you? Where were you?
When I got stationed here in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And when you're a broke Marine, because I was only a private first class, you either moved to Grandview or to Belton.
Gotcha.
And I was living in this busted down townhome with 3 other drunk Marines. And it's before cable. I'm not lying. I used to watch pig feed and fertilizer commercials.
That's got to be really weird to hear the hog futures on the frickin'
Cool
radio.
Crest commercials. And Colonel Billy wearing nothing but a barrel and a straw hat, running back and forth, advertising Boots Wheels for him. And I'm like, what the hell did I do? I could have been in California or at least North Carolina by now, right? But I chose this place, and so I hated it here. But then I discovered this place called Johnson County.
I know.
And it really was eye opening.
JoCo, it's JoCo, not JUCO.
Right.
No, JUCO is in St. Louis.
There's no Italian food in the restaurants here, as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the ethnic foods here because I grew up on better stuff. But for every other reason, I would never move back to a place like New York.
It's a good place to live.
I'm perfectly good here. Now, we got Lake Jacomo, is like the biggest body of water around here.
Hey, go to Lake of the Ozarks.
It's too far.
Jesus, God in heaven. Go drive down to.
We go to Lisa and Jerry's is where we go.
Yes, well, I've heard.
That's
and you
a great place.
Go down to Truman. Go down to Truman. It's fantastic.
Go down to Lisa and Jerry's. It's 50 minutes.
There you go.
You'll go down there once. You want to go down there every week.
I haven't been there, but I've heard it's fantastic.
I'll try to get you invited.
All right, guys. Hey, we do appreciate it, Barry. Great to have you in. Barry Kaplan is my friend here, joining me tonight. We would, if you wouldn't mind, keep Darla J in your thoughts and prayers. She's trying to find a gig, as I am as well. If you get a chance to check out this Facebook page, it is Rob Carson Show. If you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com, look for Rob Carson Show. And if you could do $1 or $5, $10 a month, whatever happens, that's great. I am also on Twitter at Rob Carson. In the meantime, God bless you. Have a glorious evening, and we'll see you again sometime.